Don't forget, you can reach the latest episode of Potomac Watch anytime. Just ask your smart speaker, play the Opinion Potomac Watch podcast. That is, play the Opinion Potomac Watch podcast.
From the opinion pages of the Wall Street Journal, this is Potomac Watch.
Welcome back. I'm Paul Gigot with Kim Strassel and Leisha Finley. And another day, another student loan cancellation. This one, the White House says, would cancel some student debt for some 30 million borrowers. Believe it or not, the White House says in a fact sheet that it has already canceled $146 billion of debt for some 4 million borrowers, but this would go well beyond that. And one of the biggest ways they'll do it is forgiving debt for anyone who's accrued interest that is more than the principal that they originally borrowed through non-payment. That would be something like up to $20,000 per borrower. Alicia, what else would this do?
So it would automatically also write off any loans if people have already been paying for 20 to 25 years. Now, currently, you only get that benefit if you have enrolled in one of the income-based loan repayment plans in which you've been making set payments for 20, 25 years. Now the administration is saying, well, it doesn't matter if you've enrolled in one of these payment plans. We're just going to write off your remaining balance because we don't think it's fair for anyone to have to keep paying their loans after 2020.
Merry Christmas, man.
Yeah, this is a gift to all the Generation Xers. And a lot of those, by the way, are graduate student loans with big balances. If you recall, the President Biden's SAVE plan already waived, so the interest rate does not compound on any remaining balance that you don't pay under these income-based repayment plans. So now he's just saying, well, for all those people who previously accrued a lot of interest, and just to give you a sense, 25 million people basically haven't been paying down the principal on their loans. It's like almost 2/3 of borrowers, which is just stunning, right? So their loans have in the past, before these Biden repayment plans, have continued to accrue interest. Now he's just going to say, I'm going to forgive it all. We don't really have a cost estimate of that, but I can tell you last time I looked, one of the biggest drivers of the increase in the student loan balance over the last 8 years was actually the interest that was accruing. People just weren't paying down their loans. Over a number of years, that interest can accrue and it can actually double. And we know from compounding interest, right? So that's basically the biggest one. And then there's the third component, which is kind of murky, but borrowers will be able to apply for hardship. If they claim some kind of hardship, they'll be able to apply to get their loans forgiven. The Biden administration says it makes some reference to if you have high childcare costs. And so it almost looks like it could be a free-for-all.
Yeah, I think that will be a free-for-all. Kim, the biggest saps in America are the people who actually kept paying interest on their student loans and reducing their overall debt because, well, they signed a contract. You're supposed to honor your contracts. You're supposed to honor your debts. But if you did that, you look with this plan like you're just one big dummy because now Biden is going to wave his executive wand and forgive debt for you. So this is really quite something. And I'll make another editorial comment here, which is this is really raw executive lawmaking. And I say that in particular because the Supreme Court overturned his previous $400 billion unilateral debt write-off, saying that it violated the law because it didn't have express authority from the Congress and it didn't qualify under the major questions doctrine that the Supreme Court has laid out, which requires express approval by Congress for big decisions like this. Now, writing off debt for 30 million people is a big deal. They don't put a number on it because they don't want to put a number on it yet, but there'll be some estimates that come out shortly from different groups, and it's going to be a big number.
So I was laughing because I was remembering that the 2022 attempt that was struck down by the Supreme Court, John Roberts' decision pointed out that to use the word modification in terms of what Joe Biden had done here was sort of like saying yes in the way that the French Revolution modified the status of the French nobility. And in fact, you were replacing it with an entirely new regime. And it's very hard for me to look at this and not see it in the exact same situation. And of course, I mean, for anybody looking at the law, it's the same. Okay, so this time, the last time around and the Supreme Court struck it down, they had tried to use a provision provision in the HEROES Act, which was something that came about in the wake of September 11th. Now they're going to try to do this through the Higher Education Act. Okay, different law, but same approach, which is to try to hide that elephant in the mouse hole. And I also find it difficult to see how the Supreme Court is going to agree to this, but that's the raw politics part, Paul, is that they're in a rush now to get all the rules done in time for this money to start going out in the fall, right in time for elections, right in time to try to curry back some voters that have lost faith with the administration, whether it be because they were unhappy that the last plan didn't work out or they're unhappy over what's going on in Israel and Gaza. This is a base-pleasing exercise. And I mean, they're hoping to also favor some curry with those in the middle, independents, centrists, maybe even some Republicans, because who doesn't like free money? And the idea being that the Supreme Court will not have time to stop it before it goes into effect and the money starts rolling out the door. And that's the really egregious. Also that, and just the administration is bragging. They're like, oh, the Supreme Court tried to stop us, but we won't stop fighting for you. I mean, they're verging on actually taking pride in violating what was a clear message from the Supreme Court.
Yeah, this is utterly lawless. I mean, basically what they're saying is, Supreme Court, come after us, man. We're going to do this. We're going to get it done as fast as possible. And you can't stop us until 2025 or so. So it doesn't matter whether it's illegal. We'll get it done anyway. And then we hope it's beside the point. And Alicia, don't have a lot of time left, but they're banking on the fact that a lower court won't allow for a national injunction, I assume.
Right. And perhaps they're also banking that nobody will be able to prove standing here. The way that they've kind of framed the student loan forgiveness is it automatically gets forgiven. So students don't have to actually apply like they did last time. To Kim's point, that this will just be automatically done. So the question is, the last time Mohila, which was a student loan servicer that was kind of an arm of Missouri, had standing to sue to challenge the Biden administration's loan forgiveness. But the question is now, well, there are no seeming administrative burdens placed on the student loan servicer, so it can't claim that injury. And given how it's crafted, the other parts, which are basically expansions of already other loan forgiveness provisions that are in code, I don't know. It will probably try to make that claim, but it's also going to be a harder standing claim to make than was last time.
I think this underscores the fact that the student loan program has essentially become a college entitlement across the board income without the politicians being honest about it. And the use of executive authority here by Biden will not be the end of it. Donald Trump gets in, he's going to use the Biden model to try to govern from the presidency. And it's a very bad trend for our democracy, in my humble opinion. All right. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Alicia. And thank you all for listening. We're here every day on Potomac Watch, and we'll be back tomorrow, too.